So today we're going to look at some projects using additional inputs with the microbit. So we're going to look at rotation, light level and compass heading. So our first project is going to look at rotation. And when we're talking about rotation, we're talking about how much the microbit is tilted in different directions. So roll, when we're talking about the roll value, we're talking about side to side. So how much is the microbit tilted side to side? And that is a value between minus 180 and plus 180. And when we're talking about the pitch, we're talking about front to back. And that is also a value between minus 180 and plus 180. So this time, instead of using the on shake, we're going to use the forever. And we're going to use that forever to either show the roll or the pitch value. So I'm just going to alternate between the two, and then we're going to pause in between. So we're going to create a new project here. This time I'm going to keep the forever, but I'm going to get rid of the on start. Just pull over the forever here. And I'm just going to show a number. So I'm just going to pull across show number. So I'm not going to store it as a variable, but you could store it as a variable if you want. But for the purposes of what we're doing here, we're just going to show it as a number. So if I go to input here and I look for rotation, you won't find it initially. So it's not anywhere here. But if I click on more here, I can find rotation. So if I pull across rotation and I can just drop it into the show number, I'm going to do the roll first. Okay. And then I'm just going to put in a pause just after that, just so that it doesn't keep showing over and over again. It'll just give it a little bit of time. So I'm just going to pause for 1 second. So you'll see now, if I move it, so it's minus 93, and if you go all the way over, again on the simulator it's not that easy to do that. So you've got a negative if you're tilting it in the left direction. You've got a positive value if you tilt it in the right direction. So you see there, that's 94. And if I can't try and keep it as still as I can, that's 16. Make it a little bit more. So minus 1. So that's almost level. There's 3, almost level. And if I go way over to the left-hand side, you get a negative number. Way over to the right-hand side, you get a positive number. So you get the idea. And again, those values will show a lot more on an actual microbit because you can tip it more. Now, if I change the roll here to pitch, so you'll see, so I'm not changing anything else. So again, it's 0 because it's right in the middle. But now if I move it up and down, I'm getting minus 11 there. So again, it's minus 88 there. If I bring it down here, you're getting a positive number. So again, you can see, so this is the forward and back and the left and right. So pitch is the forward and back here, and the roll is the left and right. So remember that rotation is the angle in which it is pointing in, or it's tilted in. So that's rotation. So have a play with the rotation input and just see what you can do with that. So in this project, we're going to look at light level. So at the start, we're going to set the light level. Then we're forever going to flick between a small and a larger heart. And when the A button is pressed, we're going to set the light level. So if the light level is less than 150, we're going to set the brightness to 200. Otherwise, we're going to set the brightness to 20. So if it's very bright, we're going to set the brightness down on the microbit. If it is not so bright, we're going to set the brightness up. So we'll just see what that does. So let's just go to makecode.com and create this. So we're going to create a new project. At the start, we're going to make a variable, and I'm going to call it light level. And then I'm going to set light level to, I'll just pull over the forever there for a second. And if I go to input and just go down here, you'll see that light level is there. So I'm just going to set light level to the light level from additional input. And you'll notice here now on the simulator, you get this light level coming up here, and that just allows you to change the light level and to see how that might work. Now, the next thing we want to do is forever, we want to flick between a small heart and a large heart. So I'm just going to pull that back there, go to show icon here. And if I put in, so that's the large heart, and there's a little small heart here as well. So I'm going to forever show icon large heart. I am going to pause for a second, and then I'm going to show icon the small heart, And then I'm going to pause again for 1 second. Now the reason I'm doing this, you can show whatever you want in the microbit, but if I'm changing the brightness level, I want to be able to see it. So I want to have something showing on the microbit all the time so that I can see the brightness level. So now I want to do input on button A pressed. So when the A button is pressed, I want to go to variables again. I want to set the light level to, and I want to bring light level in again. So I'm just rechecking the light level. And then I'm going to do an if statement. So this is putting a few of the things that we've been doing together. So we did the if statement a couple of weeks ago. So here I'm going to construct an a decision here, or condition. So I'm going to do a comparison. And I'm saying if the light level is less than 150, so I'm just going to pull across this one, and I'm constructing my condition here now. So I go into variables, pull across light level. So if light level is less than 150, then I want to set my brightness, and I can find the brightness in LED. So if I click into more in LEDs here, just click into more, I can set my brightness. And I said that if the light level was less than 150, I was going to set my brightness to 200. Otherwise, I'm going to set my brightness. Go to more again. Now I could just have duplicated. I'm going to set my brightness way down to 20. So what I'm saying here is if the light level is less than 150, then I want to set my brightness up. So if it's not so bright, I want to make the LEDs brighter, and if it's very bright, I want to make them less bright. So if we look here, the light level is 128, so it has the brightness at 200. If I now make the brightness level way up, so why is it not getting darker? Why are the LEDs not getting darker? Well, notice here it's on button A pressed. I haven't pressed the button A yet. So if I click on the button A pressed, now you'll see it's gotten much, because the light level is way up, the LEDs have gotten darker here. If I turn it back again and press the A button, so now you'll see that it's gotten brighter. I'll make it darker. So I'll make the light level on the microbit brighter, which will make the LEDs darker. So I click A button again and it makes them darker. I'm going to set the light level way down again. That should turn the LEDs to be brighter, which it does, and so on. So again, you can use that light level for lots of different things. This is just showing you a very basic example where we can just turn the brightness of the LEDs up and down depending on what the light level is on the microbit. But you could use this as a detector to see are there lights on in a room or something like that, and that's something you could do with your students. So that's the light level additional input. So in the last project that we're going to look at in this screencast, we're going to look at a compass heading project, and we're really going to use our microbit as a compass. So what we're going to do is we're going to constantly check the compass heading within a forever block, and we're going to check. So remember, compass heading is a value between 0 and 360 degrees. So if we look here, so 0 is at 12 o'clock, 90 is at 3 o'clock, 180 is at 6 o'clock, 270 is at 9 o'clock, and we're back up to 360 degrees at 12 o'clock again. So if we get the compass heading, and if the compass heading is less than 45 degrees, so we're in this section here, then we're going to show an arrow pointing north. So that's our first one. Now if it's not less than 45 degrees, then we're going to have an else if. So this is a nested if structure here. So if it's not less than 45, but it is less than 135, so that means it must be greater than or equal to 45 and less than 135, then that means it's in this area here. And that in that case, we're going to show an arrow pointing east. And then the next one we're going to look at is if it's greater than or equal to 135, but less than 225, then we're in this section here, and we want to show an arrow pointing south. And then the next one is where it's greater than or equal to 225, but less than or equal to 315, and that means we're in this section here. Then we're going to show an arrow pointing west. And then finally, if it's greater than or equal to 315, then it must be between 315 and 360, and that's going to be in this section here. So in that case, we're going to show an arrow pointing north. So we'll go to makecode.com and code this project. So we're going to create a new project. So we're going to get rid of the onStart, and we're going to use forever. We're going to create a variable called compass heading. Or you could just call it heading. Actually, we might just call it heading. So we'll just call it heading here. And then we're going to set heading to. So if we go to input here, let's see where we might be able to find that. So we have acceleration light level. There's our compass heading. So that's going to give us our value. And again, remember, it's a value between 0 and 360 degrees. And you can see here now, once I've put that in, it's showing me the compass heading is 90 degrees at the moment. So remember, 90 degrees is pointing east. So we need to go to logic, and we're going to bring across an if else. So I need to construct my comparison, and I'm checking to see if it's less than 45 degrees. So go back to variables and bring across heading. So if our heading is less than 45, then I want to display an image, and I can do that by going down to advanced and going to images. And if I pull across show image here, then I can go back into images, and if I come down, so you can create your own images here, you can have a look at that, but you can see arrow image north here. So I'm saying I want to show image arrow image north at offset 0. So if I just pull this back up here, you'll see it's pointing north. Now I want to construct another if statement. So if I just right click on this and duplicate, and I'm making that, so I'm just going to pull that up here, and I'm making that 135. So if it's between 45 and 135, then I want to show the east arrow. Again, I'm just going to create another else if. So I'm putting in nested if statements here. So I can duplicate this, pull it back up in there, and this time I'm saying if it's less than 225. So what's going to happen here is it's going to check to see, is it less than 45? If it's not, if it is, then it'll do this. Otherwise, it'll check the next condition. So it's less than 135. So if it's less than 135 but greater than 45, then it'll show east. Then if that's neither of those are true, then it's going to go into the next one. And this time I want to show south. Sorry, I'll just duplicate the entire thing. And this time I'm going to I'm going to show arrow image south. And then I'm just going to put in one more because we have the west. So I need to duplicate the condition, and I need to check the 315 here. So if it's less than 315, then I'm going to show image west. And then finally, I'm going to show image north. So let's just test this. If I bring it up here, 20 degrees, it's showing north. Bring it down past 45, it's showing east. Down as far as 135, it should show east. Once it goes over 135, it shows south. Over here to 225, and it's going to show west now. Up here to 315, and once I get past 315, between 315 and 360 is going to show north again. That's just a basic compass that you can code with your students. So we've just gone through a few of the different additional inputs in Microbit and how you can incorporate them into projects.